Assalamu alaikum. Today I just wanted to mention that sometimes as a society I feel like we glorify and dramatise criminality and how there are people out here or out in the world that are just essentially very different from everyone else and who do some quite grand and horrible and quite dramatic things. And so for example, documentaries where there's an element of entertainment and suspense, and in reality it almost kind of builds this kind of persona that these people kind of are interesting. Or I understand how it is interesting to kind of see a story kind of unfold and see how somewhat villains can be victims prior to being villains, and how, understanding how different some people can be. However, sometimes I feel it almost makes it this grand thing when more attention should be that on our understanding of those people, but in an aspect where we're kind of safeguarding the community rather than putting so much effort in putting it out there and kind of making it an aspect of entertainment, or just purely an aspect of entertainment. So even if we had that as still something available to people, I think it's also potentially a contributor to why people kind of are fascinated towards it, because I think it can contribute to kind of the continuation, or some people who are similar to be fascinated and recreate things, and we see that so many times. But also I think there is essentially not a lot done to kind of prevent things like that unfolding, or prevent how attentive we are to people who are like that, and how we kind of filter through everyone in our society to understand who are these group of people, and kind of, be able to kind of pinpoint some of the early signs and kind of understand what possible treatments are available, etc., etc. And I think it also ties in with the criminality of general crime, in terms of let's for example talk about drugs, and it kind of to a certain people who are vulnerable to kind of gravitating towards a particular crime. I think when we showcase kind of these grand kind of heists, or kind of these situations that have happened in the past, I feel like we leave a platform for people to recreate or fantasize, or kind of see an element of interest into it, not purely just by watching it, which most of us do, and I think that's harmless, but I also think there's an element of it being harmful. Today's talk is a bit different, but it's just an interesting reflection. But yeah, may we have a place in Jannah, inshallah.